Good evening,
There's a
everyone,
little
and
bit,
welcome to EduTALK.
but
EduTALK is a weekly virtual talk show created out of the need for a global learning community. And to make it quick, we have a really quick show this evening for you guys. It's highlighting Heritage Month. I'm your host, I'm Dr. Dwayne Dyce, and I'm the CEO and founder of Education Solutions International. And I'm joined by or with Dr. Barker. Dr. Megel Barker is the Chief Academic Officer of Education Solutions. And we have with us our special guest, Mss Angelie Pereyra, and she is the leader for the HOLA, which is HOLA group or a club at the Dalton School in New York City. And HOLA it stands for Hispanic Organization of Latinx, I think, awareness. Yes.
Hispanic or Latinx affinity group.
Oh, Affinity group. Okay. And
Yes.
also she's a leader for Sister Circle. And she's going to tell us a lot more about that. I don't really know so much about it. But she's here and she is going to talk to us about this idea of Hispanic Heritage Month and the impact, the education impact on youth, on students in schools. So Dr. Barker, send your greetings and we'll get right into it with our wonderful guest.
Yes, I'll join Dr. Dyce in welcoming Angelie to our program today and looking forward to understanding the significance of the Hispanic Heritage Month and how do people of that, that kind of cultural background, how do you view it?
All right. Okay, good. So Angelie, thank you, Dr. Barker. And it's always exciting. The reason we're featuring Hispanic Heritage Month is because we as Jamaicans, Dr. Barker, in England, of course, is British and Jamaican. And I myself in America, and I'm Jamaican. And so we featured Caribbean Heritage Month. And we featured everything about Jamaica, everything that is happening in the US and so on. And we're thinking that we have people even in Jamaica and in the other Caribbean islands that are not considered Hispanic. They celebrate Hispanic heritage because some of our people are from Spanish background. And so we want to highlight this too and make sure that it's significant among us because all of us, we're connected one way or the other. So Angelie, welcome to our EduTalk program. For people right across the Caribbean and the rest of the world who watches us, and we welcome everybody, just tell them who you are, where you are now in your life, and then we'll ask you a few questions too.
All right. Hi, my name is Angelie Pereyra. Currently an 11th grader at the Dalton School. My Hispanic background is really important to me. My mom is Ecuadorian and my dad is from the Dominican Republic, so I'm mixed. It's very exciting. I like talking about it a lot because both my parents are immigrants, so I've grown up around the culture a lot. They came when they were young, so I've seen their experience of being and me being first gen. It's really exciting just getting to take part of my culture with me, being American. So exciting.
Yes, that's good. That's good. And she
It's
sees
about
very
stage
mixed.
of life right now.
Yes, yes. Super mixed, even if both of her parents are Spanish speaking people. So she's still mixed. Angelie, tell us, because on our flyer we have HOLA, HOLA from Dalton. What is actually HOLA? What does it represent, HOLA?
So HOLA is one of Dalton's many cultural affinity groups, cultural slash racial. HOLA stands for Hispanic or Latinx Affinity. It is led by me and two other very phenomenal young women at the Dalton School, Naya and Noemi. And this club has been around at Dalton for quite some time. I want to say like a good 10, 15 years. So it's been really nice to inherit it and from the seniors that we had last year, and make it our own. Actually, a girl who is part of the same program that I am, Oliver Scholars, which is for Black and Latinx students in New York State to get into private and independent schools. across the country. She used to be head of HOLA when I was applying to Dalton. So it's kind of a nice little progression. As a club, we just kind of, as an affinity space, it's really just to have Hispanic students to have an area in a PWI, predominantly white institution like Dalton, to get together and just have a good time, but also understand, the significance of a small but mighty community within a school that is trying to actively be more diverse.
Yes, diverse. And before Dr. Barker come in, I want to clear up the abbreviations and the groups that you're leading. And the other one, so that's HOLA. The other one is Sister Circle.
Yes.
What exactly is Sister Circle?
Sister Circles is a new club at Dalton, formed by a senior, myself, and a sophomore, for Black and Latinx women at Dalton. The name Sister Circles came from a place near and dear to my heart. I went to girls prep charter school for 9 years before coming to Dalton. And as an all-girls school, we had a thing called Sister Circles, which was a part of like an assembly period every day. And you talk with all of your sisters and bond over various things and concerning your life, not just being a girl, but just being a person and understanding how to navigate a space. So bringing it over to bond at Dalton was really nice.
Okay, good. So about how many people or members do you have in the affinity group, HOLA?
HOLA, there's not that many Hispanic students at Dalton, so I'd say roughly about 20, 22.
Okay, that's a good chunk.
Yeah.
So, Angelie, nice to meet you. You sound like quite a articulate young lady, and confident as well. Really appreciate the fact that you raised awareness as a group of you that puts this together. But I was quite interested to find out when you say that your group is Hispanic or Latinx affinity group. I wondered what Latinx means.
Latinx.
What does that mean, and what should it mean?
So personally, I use the term Latina because I identify as a female, but Latinx is right now the umbrella term being used for Latino Americans or just Latinos in general. In the Spanish language, there is no neutral like they them pronoun for the identity as Latin. So usually a group of, and it's also not just because of being accepting of gender pronouns and identities, but also because of sexism. The Spanish language is predominantly based on gender-based language. Yeah, masculine and feminine. So Latinos being used to address a group of people who identify with that identity is not inclusive to women or anyone else who falls under the gender spectrum. So we use Latinx or Latin. Some people like that one too, because it's more closer to what it would sound like if you were speaking in Spanish. It really depends on who's comfortable with it, but because Dalton is a very vibrant community with a lot of different identities, it's just easier to use that as an umbrella term. Plus, there's also a difference between Latin or Latinx and Hispanic. So Hispanic would be someone from a Spanish-speaking country, and Latinx would be someone from a Spanish identity. So that includes Brazil and Spain and some other countries in the Caribbean. Yeah, and some other countries in the Caribbean who choose to do that, but not like Haiti. Like Haiti is a Caribbean country that some people could be considered Latin or Afro-Latino from, but it's not a Spanish-speaking country. They speak French. So
they're a French-speaking country. So your family, your parents, as you said, is Dominican Republic and Ecuadorian, yeah? How does that determine your cultural perspective on this? Are you more American, or where do you find yourself in this?
I mean, I've always identified as Latina. I speak Spanish at home. I live with my grandma. Very close to the Spanish portion of my identity, and both of my parents grew up here, coming from maybe ages 10, 8 for them each themselves, and have had their own growing up experience learning to speak English and knowing what that's like and navigating the New York City school system and going to college. And So for me, keeping that part of identity and speaking Spanish has always been really important to me. Obviously, I'm not fluent, but I always make the effort to learn because I speak it at home and it's more of a Spanglish portion of my conversation with my family. But a lot of it is food. And I think that's what makes my culture stand out a lot. And like different meals, arroz con pollo, like every weekend, which is rice and chicken. But like that's my like comfort home meal. And there's so many other ones that like I look forward to trying. And food between Hispanic cultures are very different. So like between my mom's food and my dad's food, like they'll come up with things together. They're both very big cooks. So I get to see a lot of different things with them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do they teach you to cook as well?
Yeah, I'm trying to learn. I just started to. I'm actually taking a cooking class at Dalton right now on the 14th floor. So
Mm.
it's like I've been looking forward to taking it for the past 3 years. And Chef Jazz also shares some Hispanic identity, so we bond over the food a
Oh,
lot.
yes,
And this
definitely.
month we've been trying to make new things. The other day she was making a sofrito, which is like it's like a seasoning like used for a lot of other things and like with meat and stuff. But the 14th floor kitchen is completely vegetarian, so it was just a take home, which is really
Oh,
nice.
okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
You know,
So,
Dr. Barker. Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Barker.
no, in your affinity group, I'm just trying to figure out as young people, what are the, what would you say are the top two issues that dominate those conversations?
I think just starting this year because we're like getting back into the swing of things, it's really just building a culture and community like between the students themselves before we can put those conversations on the table. And you know,
Yeah,
it's really valuable to have those conversations with people, especially for it not to feel like a burden on students of color, because it often feels like to have these conversations, we have to put ourselves in a certain position or make them seem really forced. But at the end of the day, it comes from a place of comfortability and sharing. So making sure that it's a safe space where students want to share and they're comfortable to share their stories. And, you know, obviously we want to celebrate their vibrant cultures and what makes them them. But to have those conversations comes from a lot of different places for a lot of different people. So it depends on what personal experience you're bringing to the table. And I think always like, you know, speaking from the I perspective and doing like those little group building episodes, like like exercise in the beginning, even though in the beginning it kind of seems like a little silly, it's important because you see how like people become more inclined to share. So
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's a very good question, Dr. Barker. And well done, Angelie, because we all, when you mentioned earlier on about identities and so on, we share a lot of identities within ourselves. And when we come across others, we want to make sure that they respect our identities as well as we're respecting them. Do you find that in the schools, and you have been not just at Dalton, but in schools that you have been in already, do you find that students' voices are being heard, or are they moving in terms of educational opportunities that you have? Are they moving towards making sure that students are exercising their own autonomy to grow and develop in terms of their identities?
personally, I've been very fortunate in my educational experience to have a lot of people who've supported me in that way to find my voice. You know, I think my mother too, like she cares a lot about education. My family cares a lot about education. So it was always a very big parents and partnership relationship and making sure that the schools I was going to and the people I was being supported about and the programs I went to like were making sure that I had a better step forward for a better educational future. And so going to Oliver Scholars and going to Dalton, like it's all been a very big blessing for me. But I know that it's like I had not only did I have people, but a lot of it came from myself and that self-motivation and that drive to keep going. Now I think for students of color, like for me, it's my own story. Like I cannot say the same for every other kid at my middle and elementary school who had the same journey and same support. But I do think that schools are actively trying to make it, like most schools are trying to make it a little bit easier for students to have that same opportunity and like especially find their own place. Like I know at Dalton, because I'm able to have this space for other Hispanic students and be a leader of it, is telling of that they want to make a bigger difference, just make sure that these communities are represented, especially at a school where usually those communities are pretty small. And that's by nature because it's a private institution. But the school I came from was predominantly Latinx and Black, like my entire life. I had only gone to school with one other white kid. So the culture shock from going from a school like that for 9 years to a school where I'm the minority and still be able to have my voice and not feel much different is really important to me.
Trust me, I understand that one. Very, very good. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Dr. Barker, go on. I have one other question. I don't know, time is against us. Go on. And we love the energy, Angelie. Love it. Love it.
No, it's good. Let me ask you something, Angelie. Who inspires you?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, again, a lot of it comes from my family. I wouldn't like, I think a lot of people like say like, that's my mom, but it is my mom. My mom is the like most phenomenal person I can ever like put out there. My mom and my grandma inspire me a lot just because, you know, they're very like independent, confident trailblazer people in their own ways.
Wow.
And, you know, like you don't have to make like, you don't have to like invent rocket science to, I guess, be a trailblazer in your own life, you know? I feel like if you start with the little things and it's the way you treat people, the kindness you in which you carry yourself and how you present yourself to other people, but how you show up for yourself and the people you care about. And, you know, I think my mom and my grandma are very telling, like matriarch people. And I can only aspire to be like that much, have that much confidence in myself and to care about people in the same way and like just show that same example.
Yeah. Dr. Barker, you could say the same thing about mothers too in Jamaica, where we grew up. So Angelie, trust me, you're preaching to the choir here. Somebody out there will hear and understand, and then if they're not building connection with their family, they can go back and start developing those because the influence that they have from their mothers or fathers. So what in terms of Hispanic Heritage Month, and we talk about your background and your connection to Latinx or people from different Caribbean islands and then the Americas, North America and South America. What does that really, or how does it impact you to know that you can celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month? Because when you were talking earlier, you mentioned that Latinx people, they're really living in America, but Hispanic people, they're Hispanic countries or islands and so on. So I'm thinking Hispanic heritage is basically for people outside of like US. Because if you're talking to the people in the US, you're talking to Latinx people.
Well, Latinx would be for like Brazil or Spain. So, but yes, Hispanic, Spanish speaking countries. But a lot of people carry that identity over, like again, like first generation Americans, like myself.
Right.
So I think it's really important that we have just I think a month of recognition in that way. And the month in itself is pretty cool. It's cool. It's like it's not just September; it's also October, September 15th to October 15th. And it's just because of the independence of various Spanish speaking countries across the world. So I think the fact that I get to, you know, so like it's not something that I would say like families. I mean personally, like I wouldn't know like families. I don't know like celebrate it like an Independence Day for their own country because like I know like Dominican Day Parade and Puerto Rican Day Parade, like those are very big in New York, and like those are the days that people really show out for their community. But there's still parades for the Hispanic, like for Hispanic Heritage Month. So having just a time for celebration and recognition, I think is really important. Just like within schools, like I know for my Spanish class right now, our entire Spanish 4 curriculum for the first unit was centered around Hispanic Heritage Month.
Good.
And like I was still learning Spanish the way that I had been learning Spanish before, grammatics and other stuff, but it was centered around reading about Hispanic Heritage Month and knowing what that was. And our tests were on Hispanic Heritage Month, and it was like in Spanish, and like it was like a quiz in English class, but just about Hispanic Heritage Month and in Spanish, and you were expected to use all the skills you had learned before. So I just thought that was really cool, like having that immersive experience, making sure kids have the opportunity who don't have access to that culture or knowing what that culture is like to learn something new.
That's good. That's good.
Okay. So when I was young, people used to ask me, when you grow up, what do you want to become? Increasingly, I'm shifting that question to the new generation, and I'm asking you, not only do you want, what do you want to become? but why do you want to become this, and what problem are you trying to solve by virtue of that decision? So what
Mhm.
problems when you grew up that you see today that you would like to solve?
That's a good way of phrasing that question. I always feel put on the spot when it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And my answer has changed like 100 times tenfold. Like I wanted to be president of the United States, and then I wanted to be a lawyer, and and I wanted to do a whole bunch of other things. Right now, I think I really like the idea of telling people's stories and telling my own. So I thought journalism would be something I'd be really interested in. Like I think for a while I wanted to be like a newscaster, like on CNN or something, just because I was like, yeah, this is fun. I get to do reported news, but I like investigative journalism and I like getting to talk to people about their stories, kind of like what you guys do, like interviewing and stuff like that. That makes me really happy just because as much as I like to talk, I also like hearing other people's stories. And with problems I want to solve, I think it's just more of spreading awareness. Like people have so many different multifaceted areas of their life that they don't get to share. And I guess giving someone the platform to do that can really change someone's experience. So that's probably what I'm looking forward to most in my next chapters of life.
And Dr. Barker, she's a junior, and she's talking about her next chapter in her life.
That's good, man.
Angelie, we're gonna close off on a really, really happy note. You're doing musical theater.
Yeah,
Can
we're
you tell
doing
us-
You're in Town.
Yeah. What are you doing? Give us details.
I started musical theater at Dalton. It was not something I at all thought I'd enjoy, but it's very,
Wow.
very fun.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things where I like had never seen a school, like my old school didn't have musical theater like as a regular thing. A lot of schools do, but that wasn't something that I had. So I was like, sure, why not? And now I've done it. It's my second year doing it. We're doing You're in Town, which is indeed a show about pee. But it's really funny,
Yes.
and I'm looking forward to putting it on. So it'll be really nice.
When is the
excited.
date for it to play?
November 9th through the 12th.
Oh, Dr. Barker, you
It's
probably need to book your ticket.
Yeah, it's coming up. It's coming up.
Dr. Barker will have to fly across the Atlantic to be in New York. That's very good. Dr. Barker, any final thoughts?
No, I would want to say that Angelie is certainly an impressive teenager. You have something that I'm going to call it presence. And it's not only just a physical presence, it's also an articulative presence, the way you speak, the way you explain your ideas, and even the way that you describe the role you'd like to play, reveals a person that is empathetic and reveals a person who has a lot of the qualities that we need for the future. So it is indeed my pleasure to have met you. And I do feel honored to have to meet someone with the level of intellect that you displayed today. And I'm hoping, Dr. Dyce, that one day Angelie Pereyra will be an author, so I can interview her for my podcast.
Yeah.
So that she could come along and tell her story as well. So it has been a pleasure to meet you. And keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, and don't let anyone tell you that you can't achieve your goals because you don't need anyone's permission. So really, really great to meet you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Angelie, thank you so much. Do you have anybody you want to give shout out to? Because we're going to spread this across the globe.
Ooh, that's my mom, my family, my best friends, my cousin Delilah, because she'll be like, "Why you had the opportunity to shout me out and you didn't?" Yeah, I don't know. Family and friends, that covers a lot of people.
Yes.
So, you know who you are.
And a lot of stories and a lot of food too, when you mention family and friends.
Yes. There you
go. Yes, indeed.
Oh, Miss Castro at the Dalton School. She's wonderful.
Oh yes, and the funny thing about it, there's one, let's say, yeah, that's her, Miss Castro. She asked to see how you're doing, and oh my God, she's so excited. So after she watched the episode.
She's our parent club head. Her and Miss Calixto, who's head of admissions. I love that woman.
Yes,
she had helped me get my start at Dalton. And I think
Yes.
those two have been like my Spanish love moms at Dalton. Like I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Home away from home. So
Yeah, Dr.
if there's
Barker.
anyone who I can shout out, them
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
They're very good people, very, very good people. You know, extremely.
Mhm.
Sounds
All right,
good.
thank you very much, everybody. This has been EduTalk. Please subscribe to our website, educationsolutionsinternational.org, and also on our YouTube channel, Education Solutions International TV. You can subscribe for more about EduTalks. We have a ton of episodes, and we're still rolling. And we have wonderful people like Angelie and a bunch of others who have passed, and then some of them have made double entry on the program, and we are still going. It's really exciting to have all of this, and it's not us, it's really the people that we are reaching out to. So thank you so much for watching, and you'll see us again next week, same time, with another edition of EduTalk. Thank you so much, Angelie, for coming on and for being a wonderful guest. And Dr. Barker, as usual, I'm not even thanking you because you're always here with me every single week. Bye,
My
everybody.
pleasure, my friend.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. See you all next week. Take care. Bye-bye.